Hi there, Mary. Yeah, we're just about a block and a half from the East Precinct. You mentioned protesters from City Hall to Cal Anderson Park. Well, take a look. Cal Anderson Park right over my shoulder here. And guys, this is just the overflow. We've got hundreds of people here in the park. And if you see that crowd that's sitting, Robin, on the ground, you'll notice that a lot of people have come here prepared. They have goggles on. That is in the event of tear gas. But I have to tell you that this crowd has been so peaceful, so well behaved, and with the mission to really spread their message. And if we look over here, this is Pine Street, and folks go just as far as the eye can see. And a really powerful moment happened a short time ago. We were out here with about 400 of the protesters, and all of a sudden they started cheering and applauding, and I thought, what is going on? And I looked down the street, I looked to the west on Pine, and you could see this massive crowd of protesters, marchers heading this way, and they were applauding them. They were welcoming them to join. Let's take a walk just to give you a sense for what it's like to be here, because you can see it on the air, but being here on the ground, a completely different feeling. And I have to say, the feeling really is one of safety. Take a look, signs everywhere, Black Lives Matters like these. But this is one of the other things that I've noticed here. Hi guys, KOMO 4 News. I want to show our viewers the support that we're seeing out here. Everywhere we go, there are what I call these comfort stations where they're handing out snacks and water, and it's for free. Hand sanitizer. This guy right here walking around with hand sanitizer. So it's a very supportive crowd, a lot of hugging, a lot of chanting. But one of the things that we have heard is that they really would like to get close to that police department. I haven't seen any sort of push and shove at all, but I have walked the entire perimeter of the East Precinct, and I can tell you that there are barrier after barrier and a lot of the side streets just like the last 6 days.
Tonight, we got a rare look behind the barricade right along the East Precinct, and let's show you some of that video as Chief Best took us behind the barricade. We watched her as she checked on some of her officers who were noticeably exhausted. Remember, this has been a long 6 days for them as well. She showed us the increased space at the beginning of the barricade. She says that's been helping out. A lot of the officers had their blockers out to defend themselves from bottles. We watched as Carmen Best, Chief of Police, she got an update from one of her commanding officers on how the night has transpired.
So far, things look good for the night.
A couple bottles thrown at our officers. I used the PA to just let the protesters know that we want to keep this peaceful, we want to keep this safe, and that if they were to continue to throw bottles that way, that I would declare this an unlawful assembly. We want to keep this safe so they can continue to get their message out, and I can't have bottles thrown at our officers. So I did give a warning that if necessary, we would have to do a dispersal order, but so far beyond that, there hasn't been any other bottles.
That's funny. He's trying to show everyone.
Certainly a unique perspective there as we're seeing an update along Seattle Police. And yes, some bottles were thrown, but remember, no tear gas has been administered tonight so far. Now remember, this is about the time when we start seeing some of that tear gas, so we'll be watching it closely. But again, this has been maybe the calmest day we've seen of the 6 days. Impassioned, big, but calm. I asked Chief Best if this is maybe a step towards finding middle ground.
It would be wonderful to have a night where we can all, have some healing and make sure that people feel safe and comfortable. Right now, it seems very tense still, and we just want to bring the temperature down, right? Yeah. We want people to be able to come out here and express themselves.
101 businesses were hit by looters in Seattle from Friday to Monday.
KOMO's Abby Acone is live in downtown Seattle. There's a lot of work to be done to get Seattle back on its feet, Abby.
Business leaders I talked to say they're supportive of the protesters' fight for racial justice, but say all the looting this weekend was really an economic hit. Take a look at all of the businesses that are still boarded up along Pine Street. The Downtown Seattle Association says it will easily take millions of dollars to make repairs and to rebuild. And while businesses say they're grateful these demonstrations have been largely peaceful the last few days, they're ready for anything should these protests take a turn.
It was so scary. It's just in this helpless feeling of there's nothing we can do.
Jamie Munson is the owner of Simply Seattle, a business already struggling under COVID-19. Now his economic stress is multiplied after looters swept through his store Saturday. Jamie says it'll take between $10,000 and $20,000 to recover altogether, delaying the eventual opening of his shop by a matter of weeks for whenever King County moves to phase 1.5.
And the voices need to be heard, but then to have it end in destruction and violence and people hurt, and that's just not what anyone wants all the way around.
The newest numbers released by the Downtown Seattle Association show that the majority of damages this weekend happened on Saturday in what's called the retail core. This area extends roughly from Stewart to Seneca Streets between 2nd and 7th Avenues. That's where 69 businesses were hit by looters. Friday, 20 businesses suffered damages in Chinatown International District. At least 8 businesses were targeted by looters in recent days on Capitol Hill. In total, 4 businesses were struck in Belltown. Don Blakeney with the Downtown Seattle Association says businesses are seeing if insurance can help with the latest setbacks, adding that coming up with a long-term game plan on how to recover economically overall will take coordination.
We're going to need all of the city and the county and the business community all kind of in alignment about how to do that successfully.
Manny. With their candles and their masks, hundreds of people surrounded the family of Manuel Ellis, demanding justice. The parallels of George Floyd's death hitting home.
Manny is George Floyd.
His mom, Marcia, says she spoke to her son the March 3rd night he died during an encounter with Tacoma police.
He said, "Just remember, I love you so much."
Pierce County investigators say Ellis flagged down Tacoma police officers for help that night. They say he had punched a car window and was trying to open car doors. Police say then he assaulted an officer, slamming him to the ground. Investigators say during a struggle, they handcuffed Ellis to the ground. He complained he couldn't breathe, and then he died.
He was a blessed child, okay? He was blessed. He was good and did not deserve to be murdered at the hands of the police.
Today, the Pierce County Medical Examiner's Office says the manner of Ellis's death is homicide caused by respiratory arrest due to hypoxia due to physical restraint. It means he couldn't breathe while he was restrained. They added contributing factors to his death include methamphetamine intoxication and an enlarged heart. His family says they want the 4 officers involved in the encounter to be fired and arrested.